So the theory which I would be discussing with you before I show the application of this theory in the real life is called resource dependence theory. Resource dependence theory is that on what factors the company depends upon its resources. And the resources, especially the board of directors. The board of directors of a company are the leaders, they are the visionaries. They make a vision of the company. Managers run the company. Directors dream about the company. They tell the company how to dream or what to dream and how to achieve those dreams. They are visionary people. Directors provide the leadership and the direction to the company. In this theory, we shall study that, or after reading this theory, after studying this theory, perhaps you will be in a capacity to ask yourself that if I pick up a company and I want to analyze it, are these directors who are leading this company really resources? Are they really visionary? And to assess individual directors, if they are the real resources of a company, you will be making use of this resource dependence theory. Unlike agency theory, which assumes that there is always a gap, there's I used a phrase, do you remember? There is a utility function of agent and principal, and there are a lot of issues between them. They don't think alike. The things which make agent happier can be at the cost of the principal, the shareholders. And as a result, the conflicts can occur. And to plug those conflicts, we incur monitoring cost, the bonding cost, and thirdly, there's always a leeway in the hand of agent because he knows better than the company than anybody else. And this gives the agent some extra, how we call it, that makes agent a super powerful phenomena of the company. So he or she can justify their actions because they know better than anybody else. So therefore, we see when we study the agency theory, we treat them, the principal and the agent, as if they are poles apart, as if there is some animosity between them, as if the agent may harm the company's interests. So there is some, if you smell agency theory, it's more like a negative phenomena. We discuss about the conflicts, problems, issues, challenges, and then what we can do or what we can't do to make sure that these conflicts are at the minimum. Here, the whole approach is very positive. We discuss this theory in a more friendly atmosphere because here we assume that, hey, these people, don't suspect them, they're good for you. They are bringing resources to you. So there is some, when you smell resource dependence theory, it gives you a nice positive flavor. Then the question is, does every company's board of directors fulfill this criteria that they are generating positive vibes? Well, I would do in the context of thin air, and you can decide what type of phenomena you experience. But first of all, we need to study the theory. The board capital of a company comprises of two capitals. So the board capital includes, as you can see, human capital and relational capital. And in my publications, I call human capital plus relational capital as a reputational capital. So a company whose directors have high human capital, they have high relational capital, and if we add these two phenomena, it becomes reputational capital. So any company whose board of directors have the high reputational capital, that company is lucky that it has more resources. This company have visionaries. This company have people who see the company not for the short-term point of view, but for the long term. These are the people who can be really generating value to the company in the time to come. This is the resource dependence theory. Here we see the board of directors as the assets, as the resources. And we have two types of capital here. The human capital is experience, expertise, and reputation. Well, you can call it reputation, but plus the relational capital. The relational capital is how well connected you are with the rest of the world. The boards of directors, the CEO, and all these executive or non-executive, when you recruit them to the company, they also have affiliation with the rest of the world. Are these relations beneficial to you or not? You are a company making furniture products, the chairs, tables, and all this stuff. And one of your non-executive director is on the board of Nordea Bank or any bank for that. That person's presence on two companies can generate resources for you. This fellow can negotiate on your behalf if your company is stuck in financial crisis. Expectedly, the person can better bargain on your behalf with the banker and get more loans for you on more favorable terms. So how well connected you are. Remember that even for everybody in today's world, the connections, the quality connections are very, very important. Networking is very, very important. This is about how well networked your board of directors are. And when we add these two components, it becomes, I call it relational capital. According to the agency theory, the directors could be insiders. The insiders are the company's executives, majorly. And the outsiders can be independent outsiders or dependent outsiders. Remember I told you a couple of weeks ago when we discussed about that a board of directors for a public company, generally, as a rule of thumb, there is a 50% board of directors which are executives. And half of the board is non-executive directors. The non-executive directors are those directors, NEDs, the non-executive directors are those directors who are not 9-to-5 type of employees. They don't get salaries from the company, but they provide valuable guidance to the company. When there is a board meeting, people come, they attend the meeting, the big room, the board of directors, and that is where they check the company's records, performance, they give the comments, and then there's a discussion. Hey, we have 100,000 euros to invest. This project cost 90,000, the other project cost 95,000. Which one should we accept? Discussion, debate, deliberations. Afterwards, you make the best choice. Should we borrow money or should we raise the equity from the shareholders? Should we invest in a new project or should we make our existing project better? Should we only buy the manufactured products in Finland or should we buy a manufacturing capacity in Bulgaria and start manufacturing there? Should we only sell our products in Europe or should we also try in Asia? These are strategic decisions for a firm. And these decisions are taken by the board of directors. The reason we bring non-executive directors are that if a board is comprising only of executive directors, then all these directors would be under the influence of CEO. And the problem is that this too much of impact or influence can make them weaker. Weaker who? The other executive directors. They'll be afraid of raising doubts or questioning. But these people, they're outsiders. They don't get salary from you. And they people are supposed to be more brave-hearted, upright. They have a spine, and they can call spade a spade. They can be critical very clearly. They don't have to mince words. They can say it very clearly that, hey, this decision, I'm not with this decision. What will happen? You will not call them in the board meetings, you will sack them, but they're not getting salary from you. What do they get from you? They only get the meeting fee from you. And plus the other honorarium. We use the phrase honorarium, It's not a wage, but it's like when you take some favor from somebody and you give them some reward, you host them in a hotel, nice hotel, you pay them some money, that's it. But they want to save their reputation. If they are siding you in a wrong decision, these non-executives will lose their reputation. And then no other company would do. So therefore, all else being equal, these people are supposed to be, I'm not saying they are, supposed to be, speak to their mind. They should say, the truth is truth. Well, I don't agree with this. A company is saying, hey, we have 100,000 euros. Let's give dividend to shareholders. The board of directors is saying, no, I don't agree with this. What about expansion? We have lots of projects to undertake. Our R&D is going down. Why don't we use this futuristic investment? So those people who can be more upright and say it loud and clear that, hey, I don't accept this idea. If you're a non-executive director, you have more guts and courage to say this thing. But if you are executive director, I think you'll be very afraid of saying it. You got my idea? That is why it's very important to have a balanced power equation in the board of directors. That is why if you are a public listed company, as a rule of thumb, you must have half of the board non-executive directors. So far, story is clear, right? But there's a catch. The catch is that the definition of non-executive director is anybody who's not getting salary from the company. You're an outsider. But there's a problem. Non-executive director doesn't automatically means that you are independent director. Because it could be possible that you are on the board of the company, you are in this category, but you are the company's major supplier or a major consultant or a major customer. Now, my question to you is that, can you challenge the CEO? If you're a company's major supplier, you are afraid, hey, if I say something against CEO, I will not get the order next year. If you're a director, non-executive director of a company, but you are providing financial consultancy, you provide them law consultancy, you are afraid of losing business if you are critical, aren't you? And if you are a company's big customer and they are providing you very generous discounts and all that things, they will not give you next time. So because despite you are not an employee, but you are a non-employee, it doesn't mean that you can speak in a courageous way. You can, but you also have, like these people can lose salary, these people can lose business. So it's wrong to assume that all of the non-executive directors would be independent directors. But there must be some independent directors. And the criteria of a director to be called independent is that you have no financial interest with the company except that when they call you for the meetings, they make stay arrangement for you in a hotel, they provide you a car, and then they give you some honorarium on top of that. This is not a very big economic interest. If I'm a director, if I'm an independent director of a company, I don't care about the hotel and all that honorarium, but I will never be part of these wrongdoings. So we have to be very clear, because that will dent my own reputation. But if you are a customer or a supplier or a consultant to a company, despite being outsider, I have a reason to doubt your independence. Are you with me? These people are very categorical. These are CEO, well, CEO leads them, but they are CFO, CMO, COO. And I know that all else being equal, they people are always working under the impact of CEO. But these people can be dependent or outsider who are dependent like the companies. And we use them. There's a very sarcastic word. We use them. We call them as affiliated directors, or even more sarcastically, we call them gray directors. But they're gray. They're not black and white. So they're in between. Make sense? So therefore, you can think about how your directors, which of, if you, for example, it's a task, it's not a mandatory task. It's just a recommendation to you. You can do it, that if you look at a company, a public company, look at the board of directors of a company, which I would show you. I would show one task of Finnair. You can make out that which of these directors are more dominated from the agency theory perspective, and which of them are more from the resource dependence theory. According to the resource dependence theory, the first category of director is same, insiders, like COO, CFO, all these people. But the second category of people is called business experts. Business experts. And who are these people? Well, they are the current or the retired executives of the other companies. They also serve on the boards of other big companies. For example, Finnair's directors also serve on Nordea's board of directors. And the people who serve on Nordea's board of directors, they also serve on Kone's board of directors. So these directors have their own expertise, vast knowledge, diversity, they're very well connected, and so on and so forth. And they solve the first-hand general problems which companies. So they are solving all the problems. So let's say this director is serving for XYZ company. So this director is solving the problem of XYZ company on day-to-day basis. So they people are very hand-on people, in the sense that they face the challenges on daily basis and they learn from them. And then if they are working on your company's board of directors, they can provide you solutions. Imagine you have a board meeting and you are in a panic attack. Oh my gosh, our financing is drying up. Our cash flow is shrinking. What to do? And then somebody raise hand. Hey, hang on, take it easy. Have a glass of water. I had the same situation last month. All right. And we arranged some rolling credit from a bank. And I'm connected with this bank. Don't worry. I can call my friend. He's my friend. And we can arrange some short-term credit for you. Don't worry. Because these people are dealing with these crisis situations, these kind of SOS situations on day in, day out basis. They are very practical people, very practical people. These are called as business experts, right? And then we have some support specialists. The one thing I tell you, some business experts, they have very wide knowledge, but the depth of knowledge is not so deep because they do very operational problem solving. You know, they're more like mechanics, not engineers. But these people, support specialists, they have a very narrow base of knowledge in the sense that their width or breadth of knowledge is very small, but depth of knowledge is indefinite. They're really gurus. For example, if you recruit some finance professor on your board of directors, It doesn't solve the operational problems, but he can provide very long-term solutions for you based on his vast knowledge, vast and deep knowledge. So support specialists are those people who are really gurus. I mean, you can be a graduate in this category, but in this category, you are a PhD. You are very, you're serving as a visiting faculty on many universities. You have some institute of law consultancy, some marketing consultancy. So even though you are only working in the field of marketing, but you know basically alpha, omega, and everything of marketing. There's nothing which can skip. So you have a very deep portfolio of knowledge and understanding. So the business experts, they provide you wider solutions, but for a given problem, the deeper solution is provided by the support specialist. They can't solve. These people are more like jack of all trades, because they face diverse problems in their office and they are sharing their experiences with you. But these people are master of one. They have one specialization and they are gurus in that. So by recruiting these people, width of knowledge and depth of knowledge at the same time. This is the virtue of resource dependence theory. And then the third category of people you have is called community influentials. Community influential. After all, your factory, your operations would be located somewhere. And then you want to win the confidence or favor of the local people. So bring those local people in the board of directors. Some local politician can be a good, can be useful board of director, because he can bargain on your behalf. Because when this guy, remember, before becoming director, he was opposing you, but when you make him director, then he is vouching on your behalf. So you are winning the confidence of people. Same way, some local teacher who is very influential, some journalist. So all these people who can win you legitimacy and confidence in the eyes of people. They can create positive optics about you. The optics are very important in politics and in finance and business. Signals are more important than substance sometimes. These people generate positive signals. They build up your image. They're like your PRO, basically. They are creating a good image in the minds of people. And if there's a misgiving, they erase them. So they are your local spokespersons, community influentials. Again, you can pick up one company and you can find out that how are the directors of your company really could be labeled as per the resource dependence theory. Then are they business experts, are they support specialists, or they are community influentials? So you can categorize them accordingly, okay? The next thing I want to show you, is that I take Finnair as a case company. And you can see that on this page, and this information is in the annual report of Finnair. So when you pick up any other company anywhere in the world, as long as it's a public listed company is what? A company whose shares are traded in the stock exchange. As long as it's a public listed company, in its annual report, it has to furnish all the information about its leadership. And the leadership means the board of directors. The board of directors mean executives and non-executives. And then they have a small CV. So based on that, you can find out that which are the good, potentially good, or the potentially bad things about these people having in the company. If they're good things, we see them from the lenses of resource dependence theory. And if there's any bad thing, possible potential bad thing for having them in the company board, we see it from the agency theory point of view. Right? I use the phrase that the agency theory, you start smelling the board with the negativity. And the resource dependence theory, you start smelling the board with some positive, nice flavor, right? Nice Indian curry with a lot of ginger and, yeah, okay. All right, now have a look at this. This company, Finnair, these are the executive. Look, these pictures you see, they are executives. But when I go to one page backwards, I see another group of people, they are non-executives. And you can analyze both categories, each of the directors in each category, and find out which of them are resources and which of them can have some agency conflicts with the company. All right, let's start with the executives, yeah? Let's start with Pekka. What's his name? Vaurum. I never heard this surname before. Let's start with him. And I give you some time. And please see him from both agency. Agency theory means where his presence in the company, you read his small CV, and can you make out that there could be some potential conflict? It doesn't have to be for each director. And secondly, is it possible he's a really great choice for the company, which means it's according to the resource dependence theory. Okay, I give you some time, have a look at him, his CV. One important thing which you should keep in mind, I think I shared with you the instructions of the examination, right? And one important thing about the agency theory and the resource dependence theory is that when you are answering this question, please give some examples of a real life company. I don't mind you reproduce the Finnair board of directors. But when you're talking about agency theory and the resource dependence theory, give some concrete, tangible, real life examples. You don't have to remember all the names of boards of directors and remember their CV. No. In general, right? With some example, with one person example is enough. But give some tangible example. Okay? And it's very important that you read the instructions of exam. One important sentence I use is that I can't read your minds, right? I can't assess you based on what you have in your head, but I can only assess you what you write. So please reproduce, bring your thoughts on a piece of paper. All right? So that's very important. You'll be attempting 3 questions, I guess. We can check how many you will be preparing. Oh, no, life is so easy, come on. You'll be attempting any 2 questions out of 4. And your exam will be of 1 hour. You can't access the course material. You must give necessary explanation of each question. Unless you explain enough, it's not possible to get high grades. So you have to, don't ask me how much you write, but whatever are your thoughts, they should be written, okay? In order to improve your answers, you must give some examples. Like I was talking about agency theory or the resource dependence theory, you must give some examples. If necessary, draw the pictures. For example, law of demand, you can't write answer unless you draw the picture. That's so simple. Tables if necessary, and if you know some data, if you have some facts to quote, why not? Just reproducing material given in the lecture slides will not be enough. Your knowledge, understanding, and interpretations matters. what you know, how you express. That is very important. All right. And then you have these questions to work on. I think not last week, but the previous week, we had very lengthy discussion about it. And those recordings are available. So if you want to know what to write, what not to write for each question. And some questions which I had in my original list, but no longer in this list, are the one which we didn't cover. So I took them off from the list. For example, there's no question about cost curves because we didn't study. So I took it off. These are the final ones. No change. I think you people blackmailed me. My initial plan was to give you 5 questions and attempt 3. But you caused some agency impact on me, right? So you had the residual cost effect. And because of that, I ended up writing 2 out of 4. Now I can't backtrack. I stick to my words, right? So you will have 4 questions and attempt any 2. 1 hour is the exam duration, so 30 minutes each on an average. I strongly discourage you to attempt more than 2 because you will not get marks for 3. Now you have 4 questions. Choose the answers you know the least out, opt out straight away. And only focus on those 2 questions you attempt, but then you make those questions, answers so impeccable that, you know what, I should be impressed. But if you try 3, 4, and no, it's like no, you're not going anywhere. Stick to 2 questions. Attempt only 3rd if you have made a very, very bad choice and at some point you realize that, hey, I tried wrong question. Of course, then you have no choice but to try the 3rd one. But given the choice, spend some time, spend 5 minutes, have a look at the instructions, have a look at the questions, and make on the way I do that. When I have my answer script, the backside, the last page of my answer script, I write sometime, what would I write? So I already make some bullet points. That for this question, I would write this, the contents, like a page of contents already. Then writing becomes very fast. If you think, take your time and then write, the answer is really good. If you think, write, think, write, think, write, think, write. It's like fits and starts. Have you seen the car? You put a self, it goes, stops, again starts, again stops. No. Think. Make a roadmap, have some bullet points, and then start writing in a flow. Because you know the contents already, what to write. You see how efficient your answer would be. But if you start an answer in a rush of blood, and then after some time you're lost, well, it's a risky proposition. So thinking and writing is very important. Think first, write later, not write first and think later. All right. So I would be posting today's session on YouTube. And if you have any questions, please ask me. Otherwise, we are done. Economics course is over. Yeah. Come on, cheer up. Thank you very much. Thank you.